Switzerland and the UAE have amazingly close relations, and the Swiss community here is quite big, and one of the most famous Swiss nationals who is on the board of the Swiss Business Council and is a chairman of the Swiss Academy in the UAE, Urs Stirnimann. Good morning, and thank you for being here with us.
Well, it's a great pleasure, Ahmed, to be here and to participate in all your adventures you have and plans. That's really exciting for me to be part of it.
Thank you for coming here today. And Urs, by the way, was the chairman of Swiss Group, which is a law firm that existed in the UAE and still exists in the UAE for quite a while. And it's remarkable to mention that he was my boss for at least 6 years, the beginning of my career in the UAE. So happy to see you and happy to stay friends after so much time.
Yeah, it's very exciting to see that we still have a cooperation, because I remember you were quite a few years with us, and I think I remember you as above all that every month you passed by and said, could I have a little bit of salary increase? Yeah. But also you had a lot of ideas. You came all the time, and then one day you saw, well, the possibilities with my company was a bit limited, and you say, hey, I start myself, and look what you did.
Yeah.
Big group you have, you did so many new projects, and I'm very, very happy and proud that you started a little bit with me as well. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I sincerely consider you a pivotal step in my career. I mean, you helped me a lot and you mentored me a lot, and I'm very grateful for you. And I'm here today to ask you so many questions, but I will always start with what coffee do you drink every day in the morning?
Well, in the morning, at home, in the morning, I don't really drink coffee, but I drink milk.
Okay.
Milk, and that's very good for your bones as well. And I just realized that because I was in Qatar in a hotel, and I fell in the bathroom, full of my hips, all fine, nothing broken. And I think that's my vitamin D from the sun I get every weekend, and the milk I drink every day.
Is this kind of a Swiss tradition, or it's your?
No, it's not a Swiss tradition, but milk, of course, is very closely linked to Switzerland because we have our cows and so on. Well, it's a certain importance, yeah.
Good. How many years did you live in the UAE in total, and what is your professional journey here?
Well, exactly 20 years ago I came here.
Wow.
And that was in April, and I started then with the law firm. You were part of it, and it developed very nicely. And so I saw above all how this country, under their leadership, how they developed. And I lived in other Arabic countries. I lived in your country, in Egypt, in Lebanon, in Palestine, in Bahrain, and this definitely has a leadership which has ideas, visions, where we say, oh, what the heck, they really plan, and then they do it. This is impressive, and I think that's also encouraging our company, your company, my companies to be part of it and to have ideas and to see that it's possible to do it. I think that is a great thing.
It's a remarkable thing, yeah. For sure. Can you tell me a little bit about your professional career? I mean, I know you lived in Caribbean islands, you lived in Latin America, you lived in the Middle East for a while, you come from Switzerland. Just run us through. A lot of people would be interested to understand how your career in general developed until you run the law firm here, until you run as well this Swiss Academy, and would like to know more about you.
Well, the whole thing started that when I was a young guy, I was very much interested in diving, scuba diving.
Okay.
And I read all these books when I was 14 years old. And then with 18, I even wrote a book about scuba diving, which was published and sold in German quite well. And then with 20, I was a diving instructor in Kenya and the Seychelles. So with 20, I left Switzerland. And then afterwards, I was starting studying, and then I became a lawyer, and I worked a very short time in a law firm. I didn't like to do these divorces, and I joined the International Committee of the Red Cross. Okay. This is the Red Cross mother organization, which only works in war zones. So in civil war, so I was allocated in the civil war of Lebanon, 84 to 85, visiting prisoners of war, which were prisoners of Israel, which occupied it at that time, the southern part of Lebanon. Afterwards, I went to Latin America, could improve my Spanish, got to know my wife there, and I was also there with the International Committee of the Red Cross. Then we thought, well, shall we continue with that organization, which of course perhaps the next place would have been Afghanistan. Then we said, okay, let's change profession, and I became a banker. Oh. So I quickly did learn a banker with Credit Suisse. I became quite well established in Bahrain, looking after Saudi Arabia, Qatar. Then afterwards I was looking after Latin America from Egypt. Then one day somebody came to me from a smaller bank and said, hey, would you like to establish a bank in the Caribbean? And I said, oh, of course, no problem. I had, of course, no idea how to do it, but it worked very well, became very successful in the British Virgin Islands, where I stayed for 5 years and established, besides the bank which we had, I established hundreds of thousands of companies, BVI companies. Mm-hmm. And then afterwards I became the head of that bank in Switzerland. Was the worst job I ever had. Very good salary, but the people, the staff, they were not really new ideas. Oh no, we never did it like that. No, we don't do it. So I left them after 2 years and joined, made a sabbatical with the Swiss government, with foreign minister in Palestine.
Okay.
In Al-Khalil. Al-Khalil, wow. Perhaps people don't know. In Al-Khalil, that's Hebron, where Abraham 3,000 years ago was buried with his family. So the Abraham Accords and so on. So that started from there. So I was 2 years there overlooking the situation in the Al-Khalili mosque. And then in 2004 I came here. I was running then that law firm, which established quite well, and I liked it very much here, how it develops all these new ideas, and so that was a good thing, yeah.
Wow, what a journey.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, and many people say, wow, how did you do that? Well, first of all, I didn't have any plans for that. But if somebody came and said, hey, are you interested in doing this and that? I said, oh, sounds great. Oh, wow. For example, British Virgin and Caribbean. Many people say, oh, I would like to do that. Oh, I would like to do that. And then I was the boss of a bank there, and I needed people from Switzerland. They said, oh, I'm so jealous of you, you're there. And then I said, okay, now you can start working. And then he said, you know, I thought about it, but I can't really come, you know, because Sunday, we always have lunch with the grandmother. Oh, my son has so good friends, he's in the football team, you know, there were always reasons not to come. Yeah. And for me, I had a very flexible family with my wife Sandra, whom you know, and my son Rolf, and they were, at least they accepted, and they had also, I think, an interesting life and
traveling
the
around.
Chance to go to all these places.
Yeah. But I noticed through your journey you didn't stay 20 years in one country. I mean, here in UAE you stayed 20 years.
Exactly, yeah. So it's only in Switzerland where I stayed perhaps in total about 25 years, and 20 years here. That is very exceptional, yeah, that's for sure. But it also reflects a little bit. In all the other places I was I was employed. Then of course it's not your company, but here it was my companies I had. So yes. Then of course you don't feel, okay, I did that now for 3 years and I get rid of it. No, but you continue for longer.
Very nice. Can you tell us what, through your journey, you met a lot of clients from abroad, from all over the world, not only from Switzerland, but clients from India, from the Middle East, from other countries, advising them about the UAE. What was the major focus for you and how to help your clients in general throughout the law firm? I remember my days and we were helping a lot clients on establishing presence here and what legal issues and making them introductions and how the legal system works in the UAE. What was the most interesting service or most interesting aspect of running a law firm here?
Well, it sounds so great, law firm. But you remember when you came to our law firm, did you see many books there? Not really. No, there was one book there, which was the labor court, that we needed. But here it's not so much that you go and check, according to Article 24, paragraph 2, this and this, exactly that way it works. Now we had to set up companies. The rules here are quite flexible, change every day. So when we had something new to do, I asked you, Ahmed, hey, call them. Is it still this way to do? And then you found out, no, it's not really, but it goes a little bit different. Yeah. So we were always well adapted to it, and that was what our clients liked. And I had clients mostly from Europe, which was a little bit easier to handle because they didn't have too many contacts here. So when I told them something, they believed it. They didn't have too many other opinions to it. And as you know, they stayed with me all the time.
Yeah.
A few went with you, okay. But
Yes.
most of them stayed with me, and
Sure.
they were happy, and they were happy to pay quite a substantial amount compared with all the other people, companies which do here a corporate service provider. And what was also the case is when we said something, we had to do it.
Yeah.
I told you, Ahmed, hey, if you tell them you will do this contract and you will receive it today, well, you do it either till 5 o'clock or till 12 o'clock in the evening, but you promise them. And that makes you also, gives you a better feeling, what can I really tell them? Just saying, no problem, bukra, you will get it, and then it doesn't work. The clients lose their confidence in you.
So with the new laws and the new regulations the UAE is adopting every year and the changes, did you see a lot of opportunities and challenges for your clients, for example? Does the UAE become more interesting and more attractive for entrepreneurs to come and live here or to relocate into this country? What do you feel about this?
Yeah, definitely it's still a very attractive place. It's the attractiveness has changed. In the last century, in the British Virgin or anywhere in the world, everything was easy. Compliance was really a foreign word. Money laundering, anti-money laundering, what the heck was that? I mean, that changed all and that made it different. What we also experience now, which is a huge chance for the UAE, is the economic substance. People don't really know economic substance started in Europe. You know, in Europe, when they said, hey, we are not happy that Amazon, Google, and those big, huge American companies, they made billions of profit, but they didn't pay any tax in Europe. So they said, this is not possible. These are selling their products, but they are not here. They don't have any offices. They don't have employees. They don't have their management making decisions there. So they started to requesting that to have economic substance. Me having been 5 years in the British Virgin Islands, where they had about 1 million companies, which of course didn't have, from their point of view, no substance at all. They didn't even have a PO box. The registered agent had the PO box for all the thousands of companies he had.
Yeah.
So when suddenly the European Union started to say companies need to have economic substance, all these offshore places which are really offshore, out away from everything, where in the British Virgin Islands you have a population of about 30,000 people with 500,000 or 1 million companies. So of course it's very difficult to have economic substance, and therefore what we see now is a lot of companies migrating from those places to the UAE.
Yes.
Because here you can easily have offices as big as you want. You can have employees from all over the world. It is not like, for example, in Switzerland or any other place where they say, oh no, foreigners, I mean, we of course like the foreign money to come here, but of course not all the foreigners need to come here. We don't want that. Here they say everybody is welcome.
Yes.
Population is only about 10%, the local population, 10%. 90% of foreigners like you and me.
Yes.
And we are happy here, and it works quite well. And here you can have these offices, and you can have employees, and also the management is happily coming here. So imagine you have investment funds. In the Cayman Islands, you have about 3,000 investment funds. In the British world, about 2,500 investment funds with perhaps 100 million, 500 million, $2-3 billion in it. The management, the decision makers of that company, which is in BVI or Cayman, are in London or in Singapore or in New York.
Yeah.
And if they are now told, hey, you have to move to the BVI, the wife will say, oh, great, I'm going there for 2 weeks, but of course not the whole year, and my children, they should go to school somewhere. I mean, that's a little bit limited there. But if they have now to move to the UAE, that of course is a complete different game, because here, the salaries of that person is not taxed. We have only corporate tax, but the salary is not taxed, so usually they get perhaps $250,000 or $500,000 a year. So if they move here, okay, 500,000, whoa, no, that's not bad. Plus the wife, in all these places, I'm sorry that I make now distinction wife and man, but very often it's still that the man, perhaps in 60% is the working part, or ladies more, but this is increasing. As you know, in my company we had more ladies than men working. And so here everybody can find a job. Of course, perhaps not with the salary you want, and not exactly in the field you want, but everybody can find something. For example, the real estate business. Everybody can sell real estate. You can become millionaire with it, or perhaps you can't even buy a coffee with it. No, it depends on you yourself.
Yeah,
whether you're able or not.
Knowledge.
But it makes you already a little bit a better feeling. And you have more than 200 private schools here for all fields, whether they are from the Philippines, from Russia, from New York, from Switzerland. We have all these different languages you have. So from that point of view, huge advantage of the UAE, and this is a hub. The company, most of our clients which came here, they didn't come here because of the UAE. They came here because from here I can go easily to India, so with Union ex-countries and Africa and so on. So a great advantage to be here.
As a professional, as a foreign professional living and working in the UAE for many years, how did you make your clients? How did you meet new clients? For example, you said that most of your clients are coming from Europe, which I assume because you're European, but did you meet all the Europeans that became your clients in Europe, or you met them here?
Well, most of them I met in Europe, because I was a member of, for example, of such organizations like STEP, Society of Trust and Estate Practitioners, definitely to recommend. They have about 25,000 lawyers, accountants in the field of setting up companies in all different countries. So that is definitely one way to go in. Then I'm also a member of the Rotary Club and of other clubs. That helps. And networking is something, perhaps you remember, Ahmed, when we did, I told you, hey, we have an invitation to go somewhere. Then I told you, Ahmed, it's forbidden for you to talk with me on that event. Yes. I want that you go in that field area and I go in the other area. And my definition for networking is, above all, when you have 100 people in a room, I'm sure there are 1, 2, 3 people in there which are of high interest to you. Perhaps it's your future wife. Perhaps it is somebody who went to school with your father. Perhaps it's somebody who needs a company. Perhaps somebody who wants to buy your car. But there are people, but how do you meet those people? That means you have to speak with all the 100 people.
Yes.
So if you get stuck in a corner with the same person the whole evening, perhaps you know then the name of the grandmother from that person, but the other people you don't know. That is the thing, you need to go out, and I would like to recommend that to everybody in a company. Don't go to an event and speak with your colleague. Speak with all the people you don't know. That is the most important thing, and try to find out a little bit, hey, what are you doing? And I think that is the way. And have also an elevator speech ready that you quickly can inform within 30 seconds what you're doing. And don't say you're a consultant. But that means everything and nothing. You're consulting in selling baby food, or you're consulting in opening bank account, or what? I mean, there's such a field.
Yeah, you have to be very specific
and clearly tell them, not if you just go, I'm a consultant. And perhaps the other person is not really used to say, hey, what consultant in what? Oh, you have to be open and tell them.
Well, one of the mistakes that I find here, especially with networking events, is that some professionals use very hard words, the words that you don't understand, like very complex technical words that I sometimes ask them 2-3 times, can you please tell me what do you do? And then I realize in the end is I don't know, selling filtered water or something. Yeah. But it's just, they have to make it simple, because everybody here is coming from a different nationality, from a different background. The English language levels are different. You don't really have to go up high into the terminologies of your industry that no one else understands.
I fully agree with that, because that's people like so often to use abbreviations. You have no idea what the abbreviation is, and then you go into Google and you say, what does that abbreviation mean, ESR, and you find 5 different meanings of it.
Yes.
No, so for example, I always say, I was working in the DIFC in the Dubai International Financial Center. I quickly say it because there are people who don't know what it means. It doesn't mean, because I know what JLT means and everybody knows what JLT is. Of course not, so that you give it up in Jumeirah Lake Towers, that area.
Yeah.
That is very, very important, yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about the Swiss Academy, because you're the chairman of the Swiss Academy. I know very well since 2004, even you started it. I myself was one of the very early students of Swiss Academy. Yeah. I remember I started, I got a course about international humanitarian law. Yeah. That was 2008, and in 2009 I did a course about offshore jurisdictions worldwide and so on. Can you tell us more about this shift from legal into education, and why were you always interested in that?
Well, as I mentioned before, I was already a diving instructor, so I like teaching, I like doing that. So when I came in 2004, I set up, I was running this law firm, and at the same time I set up the Swiss Academy, giving training in financial matters because I was a banker, then in legal matters because I was a lawyer, and then in international humanitarian law, Geneva Convention, the laws applicable in time of armed conflicts, because I was working for the Red Cross in different countries where there was a war or a civil war going. So this was starting, and now we add crypto blockchain and compliance things we are doing. So that is very important. And you have this very big group, the biggest group of lawyers with the Emirates Legal Network. I think about 600 lawyers are in there. It's a tremendous amount of people and companies in there, in that field. And all these messages going back and forth. There are many who participated in this course, which you also took, the offshore course, where people learn about setting up companies, not just in the UAE, but how did it start? How did it start 100 years ago in Liechtenstein, in the Caribbean, in Panama, how then it came over. So if you have this understanding, then you are in a better shape to explain and to recommend something to a potential client. This is very important. And now we do something very important because the UAE is expanding. Maybe we feel that every day on Sheikh Zayed Road. We feel it because it takes longer to go from one place to the other. More people are coming, and people are needed here. There are also many lawyers coming from India, from Pakistan, from your country, from Lebanon, Syria. They come here. They are good lawyers, but of course it helps if you have a little bit an understanding of the laws applicable in that country you move to. And therefore we start now with your assistance, with your help, with your knowledge, up to teach for lawyers the UAE laws, so that when they apply for a job here, that they can say, okay, I have the legal base of it, I know which kind of laws are applicable, I know how to find them. And this, I think, is very important, that people can show that they have something. And what is also reflected by my background, I had so many jobs, okay, because I like to do different things, but this is now coming up for everybody. Crypto, blockchain, artificial intelligence, what the heck was that in the last century? Nobody knew about it. And now it is your step ahead if you have at least a little bit of knowledge of it. And where do you get such a knowledge? We from the Swiss Academy, we try to teach in these fields for young people to learn about it so that they can sell themselves better, and that they are better in advising their clients. I mean, this is just necessary, and especially artificial intelligence. Yeah. I mean, it sounds so weird, artificial intelligence, but then when you see it, what is possible to do. Yeah. And especially in the legal field, we say, oh, of course not, this is very important that I write it myself. But your lawyer, when I was a lawyer, I had to go through all these books and find out information. I was spending hours and hours so that afterwards we could write perhaps 10 lines, a little bit based. And this, now you get these, like within a second, you get information. Of course, you need to check it.
Of course.
You need to do that. But the translation programs, they already existed in the last century. I was using them. They were completely useless. I said, what a useless thing, no? And today, I mean, they have, if you see a film, these are translated at the same second into another language. And there you are. It's like, wow.
It is remarkable. Well, but the course that you mentioned about the legal services in the UAE and how to become a lawyer here and how to work here, I found it a remarkable opportunity for people who are practicing law abroad and they are interested in coming to the UAE. Already here, Dubai Legal Affairs Department and other entities in other Emirates are making courses, but these courses are for the continuous learning program for the professionals who are already registered here, but there's nothing that is not possible for those who are outside the UAE and they wish to come, which is a huge number, because I go around the world when I do the speeches in Europe or in the Middle East, in Egypt or Lebanon and so on, and I meet a lot of young lawyers who are very keen to come and work here. And I think filling the gap of legal or specialized legal professionals courses for lawyers who are abroad or are interested in coming to work here in the UAE is quite a remarkable service, and thank you very much for making the platform for that possible through the Swiss Academy. I find it a brilliant thing. Thank you.
Yeah, that is a good thing, and that helps everybody, and that I think is the thing that you left me. Of course, about the first few days I was not so completely happy. But with the time, and we realized, you realized, I realized the advantages, no? And the things we do now together, this is so everybody needs to think, hey, there are competitors, but we can do also things together with competitors, and you help each other. I think that's a good idea for everybody.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of people would consider 600 lawyers in one digital platform talking and brainstorming and talking together would be not so helpful or not so good, because there's a lot of competition between them because they want to take business out of each other, but it's not real. The reality is the synergies and the cooperation and the referring of business, and it's remarkable. I got so much business out of competitors, out of lawyers who I know they're not handling my field. I don't do IP, I don't do litigation, I don't do company formation. We exchange business together and we benefit from the experience that we have. Even if we do exactly the same business, but you're coming from Switzerland, I'm coming from Egypt, I have the knowledge about and the background about how Egypt works, and with with international transactions and so on, we benefit a lot from exchanging this service. So being part of a community is really remarkable in general.
I fully agree, Ahmed.
So you've been here 20 years. When you first came, there was no corporate tax, there was no value-added tax, and I think a lot of services, or government services, did not exist. I think when you came here, there was no Emirates ID even.
No, nothing.
So how do you see these changes? Are they developing the UAE, or is it's making it a better place to live, or is making it harder because of the taxation? How do you see this?
Well, the world is a global place, and globalization, everybody says, is so important. So that, of course, means if we don't just have borders and nobody can come in, that we go down with the borders worldwide, and of course you have the international influence and pressure. It's not possible anymore to say, okay, for example, Switzerland had bank secrecy, now, where you then thought, okay, all the bad people have their bank accounts and nobody knows about it, which of course is not exactly the truth.
Yes.
But now everything becomes transparent and people say, okay, I want to move now the money away, but where to? You cannot go to North Korea, where I was as well. There are no banks there where you can make international transfers, and so that is just not possible. Everything becomes transparent, and there are taxes, and I think it was foreseeable that on one day tax is coming, and here there is also huge opportunities when the value-added tax was introduced here. At the beginning, of course, nobody had an idea about it, and I told my staff members, look, you know as much as Ernst & Young, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and all these big firms, you know as much as they do, because we know nothing. what is going on. If you start learning about it, everything, and try to read and listen around left and right, and what happened exactly also in your company, your knowledge in this field is just as good as those who charge 3 times more per hour than what you do. And this is the same thing now with the corporate tax. Not everything is clear, but it is coming. What we also can say in Switzerland, that is might perhaps be of interest, in Switzerland we have a 100-year tradition in assisting foreigners to optimize their tax situation. In the past it was, well, you just try to avoid that anybody knows about that money, you don't pay any tax, but with the time it also came, okay, for these things you have to go perhaps to this country, tax is a bit lower and so on, and you find new ways of cooperating. And you also have now here the problem that taxes, or the issue that taxes are here, and that means if you do run your company, that means before, for example, I didn't have a salary, I just took out everything as a dividend at the end of the year, but now you think, oh, I better pay myself a salary. Perhaps I even increase the salary of my staff members so that the expenses are higher, so that the profit, which is then taxable, is lower. So all these things make us all think about it and give us new opportunities, and where we can compare with other countries, and where, of course, Emirates Legal Network will be instrumental in learning and to participate in courses and so on. Yeah. And now with Swiss Academy, there are new partners in Swiss Academy. They will invest quite a lot in it, and so it will become bigger. So we will have huge possibilities, huge opportunities that we can offer more in the legal field, in the accountancy field, in the banking field, and many other fields as well.
That's very interesting. Thank you very much for coming. It's very interesting. We always learn from you, as usual, and I'm happy to have you here.
It's always a pleasure, Ahmed, definitely. I enjoyed being here as well.
Thank you. This is your dose for Monday Legal. See you next week.